And here we have a good example of something that doesn't necessarily translate well from manga and anime over to live action. I'm a big fan of Fullmetal Alchemist. I love the manga and the Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood anime. I even enjoy the old school anime from back in the day, which is one that most fans consider as its own side thing now. Live action anime adaptations aren't something that have done well in the past, especially from both Western and Japanese filmmakers. Western filmmakers have certainly used the influence of manga successfully, like the Wachowskis drawing on Ghost in the Shell for The Matrix, even if the Ghost in the Shell adaptation didn't turn out all too great. Similar things can be said for Japanese filmmakers, where the Death Note films were pretty decent, while the less said about the Attack on Titan films, the better. Fullmetal Alchemist is an odd one. It's from a beloved property that fans like myself adore. The director, Fumihiko Sori, is clearly a fan of the source material, as this thing is pretty faithful, but being faithful is what can also hurt a film that's trying to tell a contained story in 2 hours. This film feels like it's trying to condense the first 10 or so episodes of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, the anime, while cherry-picking parts of later episodes. Now, the Brotherhood anime had about 64 episodes to tell its story. That's a lot more time allocated than 2 hours. Now, granted, this film isn't trying to tell the entire story. In fact, there is a tease for a sequel to be made. But there is a lot of ground covered in a short period of time, meaning a lot of details get skimmed over in the process, and feeling more like an approximation of the Fullmetal Alchemist story, and someone trying to tell as much of the story as they can in 2 hours. This means that there are many characters that don't get the time necessary to develop, especially vital characters like Alphonse, Winry, and Roy Mustang. Characters are introduced to us very quickly, and we're very much expected to be able to go with the flow with all the information given. This means that the film is purely for those that have knowledge of the source material, as I can imagine anyone unfamiliar with the source material being very lost. For those that don't know, the story of Fullmetal Alchemist features 2 brothers in a world where alchemy exists, basically a science-based magic. In an experiment gone wrong, one brother Edward loses his arm and leg, while the other brother Alphonse has his soul merged with a suit of armor, and the two go on an epic quest to restore their bodies. So much of the FMA lore just gets lost and ignored as so much is trying to be crammed in all at once. The epic nature and scope of the full story just gets rushed through completely, although there are a number of moments that fans will recognize instantly. All I'm gonna say is Nina. Edward Elric feels miscast, which is never good for the lead role, and doesn't carry the natural charm that he had in the original manga and anime. Alphonse's voice actor does a fine job whenever Alphonse actually gets a chance to be on screen, which I feel is a budgetary thing. This ultimately makes the film feel like it's people cosplaying Fullmetal Alchemist rather than the film being Fullmetal Alchemist. Some fights are okay, Alphonse's look is well realized, but other moments of CG look pretty awful and just goes to show they didn't quite have the budget to pull off the scope that they wanted. Particularly the scenes with the 3 villain homunculi, Lust, Envy, and Gluttony, which surprise surprise don't get much time spent developing them, and end up just being the bad guys. Fullmetal Alchemist is pretty disappointing, but if you are a fan of the anime and manga, it's probably worth checking out just to see how it compares. But if you've never heard of the series, this adaptation is not for you. Hopefully this is a lesson to those looking to bring long-form narrative text like Fullmetal Alchemist to the big screen. But hey, at least it's better than those Attack on Titan films, right? Fullmetal Alchemist gets a 5.5 out of 10 from me. Guys, I hope you like this review. If you want to see more reviews just like this one, stay right here for your Mono Fix. Bye guys.